So The Flash Season 5 Episode 13, I believe, Gold-Faced. It was an okay episode, had some cool moments in it, but it still presented issues which make me just almost scream out loud. Why? How's it going, species? Welcome to a brand new Flash Season 5 Episode 13 review and breakdown. So, Gold-Faced. It was better than what I was expecting. It honestly was, this episode, because, you know, from the trailer last week, and if you watched my trailer breakdown, I wasn't expecting a massive bunch out of it, just because it did kind of seem fillery, but, you know, I wasn't going to judge it properly until I saw the episode. And I've seen the episode now, and whilst I did enjoy some aspects of it, you know, Sherlock's part was kind of interesting, but I think, you know, the black market stuff was interesting as well, more entertaining than what I thought it would be. Ralph was pretty awesome in it. I'll get to that, but the thing that actually kind of wound me up, as much as I liked parts of it, was the Iris West storyline going to Cicada's house, just because I felt like it was incredibly dumb. Now, yes, she is an investigative reporter. I understand that. Like, don't take this out of context here. I'm still a fan of Iris West. I'm not hating her or anything here. But, you know, I guess I'll get to this, but the main problem was when she was trying to run away, or way even before that, why didn't she call back up when she even found Cicada's house? Okay, you don't want to buy that? Okay, what about when she was hiding from Cicada, like around the sofa? Do you remember that metahuman, sorry, not metahuman, do you remember that kind of a panic system that Cisco built into Team Flash's phones, that I believe Cecile even activated earlier this season when Cicada went into the house, you know, Papa Joe's house, to kind of lightning attack him or whatever it was. She activated that. She could have done that a billion times over, and Team Flash kind of could have been, they wouldn't have been there in a heartbeat. I get that because the Metacuff situation with Barry and everything and Ralph, but like, I'll get to this a bit later, but you'll see what I mean. I just wanted to give you a little preview before I kind of go on a little bit of a rant about that, because I do like the parts of that storyline, but it's getting a bit too much now. The painful, obvious, like, sore thumbs that are sticking out in this program now. But aside from that, everyone, if you do go on to enjoy this video and you already found yourself enjoying it, crush that like button. It really does show your support for the channel, and it takes 2 seconds of your time, and I just really appreciate it, because every single like helps, and just helps this video and channel grow a little bit more. And subscribe if you're brand new for more Flash reviews just like this, and don't forget to let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. So in the opening scene, of course, we had Sherlock tinkering away at Nora's Speed Force symbols. I swear we've seen that every single episode, but I'm not complaining. I like Sherlock dipping into all of this, and I have to admit, when Nora's kind of game here was just to distract him, I was just like, okay, you know, Earbard's big ass plan is to distract Sherlock, but you know, that's not going to be a long-term solution. He will eventually get around to, you know, solving the mystery of Nora Allen, right? But what they kind of spun this episode was pretty interesting, obviously, with his previous wives. And by the end of the episode, with the whole metahuman thing, I have to admit, it really was quite smart, and I definitely respected that writing, because it's like, okay, he is distracted because he obviously has a thing for all of these women, because obviously they're the same person on each Earth. So when he meets this Earth 1 version, she's a meta, his instant thought is that, oh, great, Cicada's gonna go and get her if I don't try and look out for her, and that is believable for me. I thought it was just gonna be a little bit of a romance kind of thing, and I didn't see why that should really get into the way of disrupting his investigation into Nora. But it was pretty cool seeing those scenes between Thorne and Nora as well. I liked his kind of excuse, even though it was kind of strange at the same time. It's like, to wear another man's face, you essentially have to know how every single Wells in the universe would think. So apparently that's what Thorne has the ability to do. But either way, you know, Thorne is very smart, so, you know, I'll easily believe that one as to how he came up with this whole plan for Nora this episode. And it's kind of cool how, I guess, she was just vibrating and phasing in between that wall. She wasn't peeking her eyes through. She wasn't on the other side. It's like she was just chilling in the wall, which kind of made me laugh at the same time. Now, everyone, is it just me, or do you kind of have a bad feeling about Cisco this season? Just in terms of, like, is he going to leave or something? Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. You just have him, like, missing in episodes. Now, yeah, this isn't Alien. He could have just wanted some extra time off. But, you know, we've had him missing, I believe, when obviously we had the Cicada dagger thing way back earlier in the season. We had him missing a few episodes ago because of like the dagger thing that happened to his hand. Wait, maybe that's the same thing, I'm not sure, but either way he was missing again, and it's just like, oh, Cisco like sent me this and how to figure out the cure. I don't know, it could be a billion different reasons, but I just wanted to put that out there. I really hope Cisco doesn't go anywhere. It would really suck for fans and myself if he was to go, because he's one of my favorite characters on The Flash, and when you move like remove co-stars like that, it's just it's never the same, I feel. But we're gonna have to wait and see. Obviously it's a bit of a stretch, just stemming from the fact he's just had a little bit of time off for whatever reason. But anyway, Caitlin describes the metahuman cure and how they've got to neutralize the dark matter in their pituitary gland. I'm sorry if I butchered that, not exactly a brain scientist or whatever. But regardless, the whole point is we're getting closer to how we're going to stop Cicada, right? And that is through injecting him or whatever with the cure, but he has to be immobilized for at least a minute for it to actually turn him into a human, not a metahuman. But how could they do this, everyone? Of course, it's got to be something fairly tricky, and that is through getting a hold of a neurostasis field generator, which is, just so happens to be in the black market of, things in Central City. So that was obviously stemming Ralph and Barry's, mission this episode, with them working together, going undercover as criminals. Now, I do have to say, the Barry and Ralph scenes this episode were definitely a lot more enjoyable than what I thought. Obviously, this was really a question of morality, because the ends justify the means. That was a line said a couple of times throughout this episode. It's like, look, we're going to have to do this job for Goldface to get this equipment, which is unfortunately kind of, stealing something from a lab which has already been bought by a hospital. It was like a 3D printer that could print out synthetic organs or something, which is obviously like a huge thing to take away from a hospital. But like, what's more important, stopping Cicada or kind of taking some equipment? And I really like those kind of ethical or like moral lines and questioning, and that heroic moment from Ralph in the episode where I guess you could say it's heroic, but he locked Barry in that van, and I don't know, it's just like, he is a hero now. He's come such a long way, but he still views Barry as purer than him, to the point when he locked him in that van, he knew that he had to take one for the team because he didn't want Barry to have to go and do that. I don't know, I just really like that moment. They've already like made me like Ralph enough now compared to last season, to the point where this just made me love him even more. And that whole scene anyway with the music and Ralph, that was funny. That was really funny. I do have to say, how are these guys better than trained criminals? You're probably pretty good at guns. I'm not going to nitpick that. You kind of have to, especially in a scene filled with music like that, throw that kind of out the side. But they were badass. It was enjoyable. Now, as for when they were actually battling Goldface, this was pleasantly surprising. I was wondering, if you remember, if you watched my trailer breakdown last week, if he was actually going to be a meta. Could he, were they really going to put meta tech on his chain or something? Because we saw in the trailers whipping around that chain. But it was really cool. They actually kind of made his skeleton like an adamantium like esque thing out of, freaking Wolverine, but it was gold. So when like he got thrown against the floor and his head scraped the floor, you can see his skull was gold, and obviously just kind of like the comics as well, that would like emanate that gold yellowy glow, and he obviously had enhanced strength. Arguably, you could say that's because the skeleton is like really hard because of the gold. But either way, it was really cool to see that they actually added some comic book metahuman properties to that. I wasn't sure they were going to do that, and I thought they just might pimp this character out to be called Goldface, but there's nothing much too special to him. But in a city full of metahumans, that would have been pretty silly, so I'm glad they did that. It was kind of weird how he went, like with all the gold bubbling out of him, and like he survived. Like, wouldn't that just dry on his face and just like metallic-y up his face in a weird... I don't know. I wasn't also a big fan of how, if he did die from that would have kind of been like manslaughter or something from Barry, because he knew that was going to do something to him, and he got out the way. He's getting electrocuted, especially as his skeleton is made of gold. That kind of would have killed you through the conductivity and stuff, especially being gold. I'm not a scientist, but I know that. But yeah, he survived. It's just weird to think sometimes, if maybe there was 1 wattage too much more, Barry Allen would have kind of been an inadvertent murderer right there and then. So, I'd love to know what you guys think of that moment. But either way, defeated the guy, got the thing. All is well in the end. Okay, now I'm going to get into the Iris thing. So first of all, let me say, guys, I like Iris West. I think Candice Patton is a great actress. She really is. I know she's an investigative reporter. I'm glad they're kind of... accelerating on that storyline of her being, starting up the Central City Citizen and stuff like that. However, people, this doesn't disregard that there's a couple of things that are going wrong, like somehow just because of all of a sudden she's got ad revenue, she can afford employees, to print a newspaper, to hire that place out to print newspapers, to rent an office, to play, like, that was way too fast. It would have been cool to see, like, oh, her newspaper is picking up, oh, this article about this villain in episode 6 or 7, it did well. Do you know what I mean? That's last episode's review anyway. So this episode, I just thought it was a really dumbass decision to go to Cicada's house. It really was. Or at least at the first second of maybe thinking, what if this is Cicada's house? I should probably tell Team Flash. Just in case. Yes, you could say, Boba, the Flash and the Elongated Man's hands were tied. They were doing their own thing. True, but that doesn't make a difference. This really important character knew what she was doing going into Cicada's kind of land, and it was kind of likely that it would be there. I mean, that interview she had in CC Jitters was quite, convincing. And even putting all of that aside, it gets worse. She's in there, and she could have activated the, they've made a big deal out of this. They've definitely commented several times in the show before, oh, why didn't you use the panic thing on your phone? Like, they've shown that multiple times. She didn't use it. And then, guys, I'm sorry to say, like, the fact that she stopped Cicada, I mean, it was badass for her. Just like I said, the jumping off the roof thing earlier this season was badass. Not that I thought it should have happened, but I admit it's cool for her character. I'm not going to take that away from her. But the fact that Team Flash go hand to hand with this man, and she just stabs him with a kitchen knife. If you go back and watch my trailer breakdown, you'll be able to tell that this was the moment I was most excited for. It would have been cool if he knew who she was. They were talking about, why he does what he does. All cards on the table. And the reason why Iris would have got away with that in theory was because she's a human, and maybe Orlin wouldn't kill humans, only metahumans, and that's why he would let her go, kind of thing. It would have been cool to play that kind of story over him maybe seemingly trying to kill her anyway, and her getting the upper hand, and her not asking for any help, and oh, she asked for help just conveniently at the end of the episode, and oh, look, Orlin's gone. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I've spelled it out enough now. I'm not going to go on any further, but I feel like that logic is too hard to refute. Like, she should have asked for help. She shouldn't have gone in there in the first place. And she probably shouldn't have been able to defeat him. I'm not saying she's not capable of that, but like, if you kind of look at how superheroes have tried to take this guy down, and stuff like that, it's just kind of hard to believe. So that's what I'm going to say about that. It just could have been done a lot better. But regardless, yeah, I am happy that she's getting close to a reportive side of things, even if her newspaper is failing, because they did do, well, not failing, just off to a rough start, because they did compare it to how Spencer Young's stuff is more popular, because it's all a little bit clickbaity and stuff like that, and Iris is just boring with what she's putting out. We all know that's going to be fine, because we all know how popular a paper is in the future. So, and to be honest, guys, there isn't really much more to say about this episode. It was a good episode. It was better than what I was expecting, just with like a lot of it being that Ralph and Barry plot, for what I was expecting for this episode, it was more entertaining, and I'm glad about that. But yet again, once again, the Flash kind of really obviously presents massive plot holes that probably shouldn't happen, and I just refuse to believe everyone is swallowing this and thinking, oh yeah, that was just fine, because it's not. I feel like it shouldn't be that transparent. They should be like explanations behind everything that are believable, and not just like, no, and there's no way she would have done that, that's too dumb, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Just as bad and as painfully obvious as, oh wait, yeah, let's leave Cicada on the floor over there and temporarily give my daughter a hug, and oh look, he flies away. It's just, I'm not stupid, Flash TV show. But either way, everyone, I hope, the big fans for this show, I am a big fan myself, haven't taken this constructive criticism and opinions in a salty way. I honestly feel like what I said, it can only really be interpreted that way, but if you've got a different opinion and change my mind kind of thing, go for it down in the comments below. Try and change my mind. Or do you agree with me? Let me know that as well. But other than that, guys, like this video, especially if you got this far, and obviously subscribe as well if you want to stay up to date with more Flash videos and reviews just like this. There will be a trailer breakdown in the next several hours going up, so make sure you keep your eye out on that. Double upload as always on the review day. But thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you species have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.